I got into dance music at a very early age because I did have two older brothers who were into the rave scene when that was all kind of about. And you know, when I was at school, I used to swap drum and bass tape packs, like Helter Skelter tape packs. When kids would come in and we'd all swap tapes. And Chemical Brothers and Prodigy in particular were a large part of introducing me to dance music. And from there, the kind of passion just grew really. And by the time I was 17, I'd left school and I was enrolled on a course doing music technology. The first course I started at Confetti was kind of learning the old Akai samplers, but then I moved on to an Access to Music course in Lincoln, which was a bit more current, and that was more focused on kind of creating music within the box. I mean, the course was a CMTT course, which is creating music through technology, but you know, we'd have an hour keyboard lessons a week, an hour music business a week, an hour theory a week, so it really covered a broad spectrum, and it kind of set me in good stead for the industry. I was producing a little bit before I went to college. I decided to go to college to take it to the next level. But within that period and within the 4 years I was studying it, you know, I had my first record releases coming out and I was getting my first gigs coming in. So it really was kind of an instant impact really. And that was due to a friend of mine, Tom Ingemels, who got me into it. You might know him better as Tom Starr now. But yeah, he got me into the production side of things when we were just 17. I'm predominantly in the box producer, mainly because when I first left school and I started producing and I was doing these college courses, I didn't have thousands of pounds to spend on hardware. You know, I just left school, I didn't have a job as such or a career at that point. And then the course that I started at Access to Music, you know, showed me that you can do the majority of the things in the box. You don't need all this expensive hardware and everything to get started. And that's kind of where I learnt my profession and my trade from there. And as it's gone on, and the quality of plugins and the quality of soft synths and everything like that's just got so good now, and my workflow is so used to that style and that format that I've not really felt the need to now branch out into hardware because I've kind of mastered my trade in the situation that I'm in. There's a whole range of plugins which are essential to my production now. I mean, in particular synth-wise recently, there's one by the UHE called Hive, which has just got some really cool sounds, some cool old school sounds and really great for manipulating. And the other favourite synth is also by UHE, and that's called the Diva. And stick that with the Moog emulator and the sub-boom bass, and that's pretty much the four must-have synths for me, and the majority of my bass lines and synth sounds will have come from one of those four synths. The in-house Logic plugins are great, yeah, but it's always worth getting some really cool third-party ones. I mean, the Soundtoy stuff's great, the crystallizer for mangling stuff, things you couldn't even think of programming will come out of that. I mean, there's the saturators or the T-Rax mastering suite, and there's the Homeboys delay. There's very specific delays or reverbs that are used for particular kind of sounds, so it's worth having a bank and getting to know your plugins and know what works best on, say, a chord stab or what will work best on a vocal, and getting to learn all of those different things, and then you'll create your own kind of sound from experience and preferences of which plugin to use on what kind of sounds. House music's always been based on sampling, you know, from the very word go. There used to be sample of the old disco records and then the house beat program behind it, so it's always been there. But predominantly since the digital age, and in particular since the introduction of Ableton and sample CDs quality is getting a lot better, you even get construction kits and full loop packs and everything like that within these sample CDs, which for me isn't very creative, just chucking these loops into a folder and pressing loop and putting them together. That's more like building bricks rather than creating bricks. So I like to pick out the samples and use some as maybe a referenced sonically that's crunchy and EQ things around them. Or most commonly, I'll just listen to loops for one single hits and single banks or little effects or twerks, and then I'll bring the loops in, chop them up, mangle them, reverb, reverse, pitch them down, whatever, but I'll make the sample my own 99% of the time. Occasionally there'll be a shaker sample or a little tam loop, as you'll see in the introduction or in the tutorial, that'll work perfectly and just sit in the background, but the majority of the time I like to get creative and personalize these sounds, and then it's really something that you've made rather than something that someone else has made and you've just chucked together. I like to just create music as I feel for the day. That's why I release quite a wide range in sounds, because sometimes I go in the studio and I'll be up for a bit of a bouncy tech house day, so that's what I'll make. Sometimes I go in and I want a bit more techno-y and grimy and a bit dirtier, so that's what I'll make. I think it's important to make music to how you're feeling, because if I then go in on another day and I'm not feeling the bouncy, happy vibes, but I try and work on that, I'll end up evolving the track into something it originally wasn't and losing the original direction. So I quite like having 3 or 4 projects of slightly different vibes going on, and whatever mood I'm in that day in the studio, I'll work on that one. And then I'll just make music for myself that way. But collaboration-wise, I've got a collaboration with Josh Butler that I'm doing, and teeing one up with Tony Varga and some other artists. And I just really like working with genuine, nice people whose music that I play and who I know produce themselves and have got the talent behind them as well. So anyone who I respect as an artist and get on with as a person, I'd be happy to collaborate with. The best thing about being a DJ and a producer is not setting your alarm at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. Getting up when you want to get up, I would say. No, that's not really. The best thing about being a DJ and a producer is basically living a life of working on something you love doing. And you produce your records and then you get to play them in clubs and you see thousands of people having a great night to it. I mean, if you put it in another respect, my job is to make other people have a wicked time. And it's like, how can you not love that?